What an ending, what a finale. Everyone was involved.
And that's just Donald Trump.
Right up to the president.
Yeah.
You got to say.
The chain of command.
Andy Brassel, before we talk about Chelsea 3, PSG 0, you're the only person among us who sampled and witnessed the Club World Cup firsthand.
Supped it.
Supped it.
You must be...
Quaffed it.
I choose my words. I'm trying to... You must be very proud of FIFA.
Yeah. You slurped deep from the FIFA Club World Cup
from Infantino pool.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. You wear white trainers the great man.
How's your Legionnaires?
We will get onto those trainers in a bit, Andy. Don't you worry about that, son.
How's your Legionnaires disease from supping deep from that pool?
Yeah.
Well, it's still in the queue, waiting to sup from that pool, because that was very much part of the Club World Cup experience, wasn't it?
But after having a big old suck on the FIFA teat, Andy, what would you say to everybody?
A big old suck on the FIFA teat.
Don't say teat, say titty.
Big Mama FIFA. Get involved, PT.
Yeah. No, I think it's disgusting.
It was Big Mama UEFA, wasn't it?
I know. But
Big Mama FIFA's even bigger.
Even
bigger. No, it's Big Daddy FIFA.
Big Daddy FIFA, yeah. In my mind, I'm thinking about that big inflatable pig over Battersea Power Station, that Pink Floyd cover art.
Oh, that big inflatable Donald Trump even.
Yeah, could be that, yeah.
No, that's him.
Nappy on.
That's the guy. So...
Answer the questions, Andy.
I was going to say, do I have to rephrase it again?
Is it everything you dreamed of or not, Andy?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Andy's on cloud nine. He can't speak.
What I love is you know when something's questionable, and as soon as the final whistle goes, the broadcaster, who's very much in partnership with FIFA, as we know.
Yes.
Let's be honest here. They were very quick to say, well, it's been a success. It's been a success. That's the end of it. No further discussion.
We'll decide. It's like doing our show, and the only people that can do reviews of it on Apple are us. Yeah. another banger. 5 out of 5. You know. When will these guys ever stop? It's so good. Can you believe how good they've become?
Yeah. Would you agree though it was a success though, Andy? Hard to define success, isn't it, in these tricky times?
Qualified. I think it's fair to say.
Right.
Look, I think the Club World Cup, there's a kernel of a really good idea in it. The way it's actually been manifested, very different. Now, look, I think first we should be talking about the final and how Chelsea
I'll decide, Andy.
managed to win a competition of at least some importance.
Yes.
And I think it's churlish to take away from that before we discuss the tournament as a whole, which, I mean, you could spend a week really picking holes in it.
All right.
And maybe that should be on the Patreon.
When you say there's a kernel...
Are you free for the rest of the week?
When you say there's a kernel of a good idea, is that the little key that opens there?
It's the guy who does KFC.
Yeah, okay.
The kernel.
I remember. Okay, well, Chelsea, they were brilliant.
They were absolutely astounding.
We are doing a predictions reveal show, by the way. So you will, for those who have remembered, I've fancied Chelsea for a little while in this tournament.
Well, I was shocked.
I didn't put that on the paper. I was before the tournament.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was shocked on Friday because Andy was really convinced that Chelsea were going to defend beautifully.
Yes.
And get the win, but they didn't even need to defend beautifully.
I'll tell you what, it all came up Brassel because on Friday I listened to that and I thought he's talking shit. On the WhatsApp group I posted easy PSG win. Yeah. Turns out Andy was spot on, as per.
As was I.
Oh yeah, you were as well. Yeah, but only because you just copying Andy though.
To be fair, we got it on tape.
Yeah, but you and Andy, you're making the calculation. If I just do what Andy says, even if we both fail, we're strength in numbers.
Okay, fair enough.
You know what you're thinking? You're thinking because of the last 4 weeks of the Club World Cup, you're thinking everything's a conspiracy.
No, I'm thinking.
And you're thinking me and Marcus are in cahoots.
Partly, but
that's what you're thinking.
I can't help whenever I listen to you broadcast, I always just think to myself, we've had enough of experts. I'll stick to my own views.
Is it not the first time or the last time you've aligned yourself with Michael Gove, is it?
No. Chelsea were good though. They were really good.
They were excellent.
And what they were able to do was able to switch it up. They were able to, because if you think about how towards the end of the domestic season, I don't really know that much about the Conference League because I simply didn't watch it, but towards the end of the domestic season, Chelsea were under a bit of pressure and the manager was under a bit of pressure as well, I think, from Stamford Bridge faithful, for continually playing out for the back, from seemingly putting pressure on themselves and all the rest of it. And what they did against PSG last night was they basically massively targeted their left-hand side, overloaded it, and clipped these balls over and over again over the top of the press, and then pressed themselves,
they were
and basically did to PSG what PSG do to other teams. And when you've got someone like Kvaratskhelia, I don't know if it was just the heat was getting to him or he didn't fancy having.
I mean, they've had a long run to that
track,
final.
yeah. But he wasn't tracking. Basically, certainly the 2 Palmer goals, and kind of the Pedro one as well, I suppose, came from the fact that Nuno Mendes was completely outnumbered, and they kept getting overloaded, and so. I mean, the game was over after half an hour, basically.
Sanchez, obviously we'll talk about Sanchez's amazing performance.
He was good, yeah.
In bins. His distribution was better than I've ever seen it from him. He was just absolutely imperious. I think it would have surprised most Chelsea fans as well.
No, you're right. I think his whole performance and that part of it as well did. I think with Chelsea, they have had a kind of run to the final. There's no question about that. But, and also PSG, that at some point they will get tired. I know they've not looked tired and they've defied everything.
They didn't make a lot of team changes, and the only team changes they really made were enforced ones.
Yeah.
And enforced ones that really cost them.
But I think as well, PSG would have, when they get Chelsea in the final, they're thinking, okay, well, we've beaten Bayern and Real Madrid and others on the way here. May well have kind of thought, oh, well, we should be okay against these. I don't know. That's me, speculating there. But you're right. Look, PSG always, we know what they're like. They swarm. PSG often win the game in the first 20 minutes or the first half, at least. Well, that's what Chelsea did to them. It was remarkable.
But you have to ask, what are the exceptions to that? What are the points when they've been so imperious in 2025 when they've been knocked off kilter, and it's by Premier League teams? It's been by Aston Villa at Villa Park. It's been by Arsenal in the first 25 minutes of that game in Paris in the second leg.
And Liverpool.
And not by letting them get out. And there were...
They were the better team against...
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit different despite the result. But you're right, Liverpool did have a degree of success against them. But if you're looking at the two teams that really inconvenienced them in big games, it's Aston Villa and Arsenal. And I think Chelsea was smart and used something from that. And like Vitinha, who has had a shout, I think, to be the Ballon d'Or. Whether you think he's the Ballon d'Or or not is a different question. It's probably Ousmane Dembélé, and that's fine. I think most people are fine with that. But Vitinha is one of a number of PSG players who's in the conversation. But that underlined why he's a really good defensive midfield player for this team when they've got the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they haven't, people can talk about Nuno Mendes and the fact that he hasn't really got cover. I think one of the main reasons he hasn't got cover is because their best defender, William Pacho, is not there and he can't come across and help him. And the other thing is, if you're going to get at PSG, you make Vitinha play more like a defensive midfielder without the ball. And that is the space that Cole Palmer was able to take advantage of. It's the one time since they've sold Manuel Ugarte that I thought, well, they could have done with Manuel Ugarte there.
Yeah, and it's all obviously easier said than done. But the fact is, the way the final comes about, as I say, PSG, as I say, at some point they would show a bit of fatigue. So it was almost like a perfect storm. But
yeah.
You have to be brave when you do that, because with Chelsea, because you know what it's like. The idea of playing PSG now is like, bloody hell, how are we going to do this? All right, let's defend and try and hold on, and that's when they kill you. And Chelsea stuck to the guns. I mean, Maresca said, I knew in the first 10 minutes we'd win the game, which, okay, it's a bold thing to say, but he ultimately proved right.
I think that, I take Andy's points, but I also do think that if you're Luis Enrique, I don't understand the reasoning behind why he didn't say to Kvaratskhelia, you need to get back here and you need to be in there and you need to help, because he wasn't doing that. He got dragged off before an hour. I don't know if the heat got to him, the fatigue got to him, whatever. Perfect storm or not, I understand the point that William Pacho is out and that's important. But Malo Gusto was having the freedom of the pitch.
Yeah.
And, you could make an argument, probably wouldn't be a very long argument, but you could, if you were feeling particularly spicy, you could say, give man of the match to Malo Gusto. Because Palmer's getting the plaudits anyway. A couple of goals and assists. He gets player of the tournament, whatever. Gusto was tireless over and over again, asking questions.
He's really good.
And Kvaratskhelia couldn't stay with him, or just didn't want to stay with him.
Do you think, though, I agree with that. Do you think, I wondered that, why is Luis Enrique not doing anything? Do you think it was a case that PSG are clearly the best side in Europe? They and everyone else assumed, other than Andy and me, assumed that they were going to become the best team in the world. Officially, it's official.
Yeah.
Do you think
you get to wear a little badge now for the next 4 years? Don't you?
Do.
Yeah.
Do you think that there was a bit of complacency or arrogance? Yeah.
I don't know if they expected Chelsea to play the way they played.
But you have the first goal.
They didn't adjust.
And then the second goal is pretty much a carbon copy.
It's exactly the same.
So how come by that second goal that you haven't adapted?
I'm asking the question. I'm asking the question as to why they didn't dig in. Well,
I don't think they have any more to give. I mean, the idea that Kvaratskhelia thinks, no, I don't fancy it today in a final.
I'm not saying that.
That's just not right.
What I said was, I don't know if he didn't want to do it or if he couldn't do it. He clearly,
but he always wants to do it. So we know the answer, don't we?
In the campaign throughout the Champions League, he was doing a lot of it. So it must be a fatigue
But
thing.
that's his thing.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
And you got to remember that, like for the first goal, slight amount of fortune getting the ball back like that, and then being able to lay it off to Cole Palmer. And who finishes like that?
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Especially against
for an opening
Donnarumma.
goal. It's absolutely
Is he turning around to all other Premier League sides and going, "You've just got to stroke it in."
What Palmer's got that I don't want to sound old school, but what Palmer's got that you just simply, in my view, cannot coach is that he approaches every single game like he's just down the part of his mates, and nothing about the occasion or the situation he is immediately faced with makes him make any different type of decision. Marcus, you said this before a couple of years ago, I think probably whenever he just signed for Chelsea and he was started off well and he was taking penalties and he got asked a question about penalty and it was like he'd never even considered the idea he'd ever miss one. Like what would ever miss one, you know? And
the more information he has, it seems the worse he plays, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it probably
is. He's a very pure footballer.
But with that, I mean, he did go a period, didn't he? And he obviously.
He had a quiet period last season at one point.
And he, you know what he's like with the interviews. He's
quite
a man
sanguine. He's quite sanguine about it, wasn't he?
He was, and he's a man of few words, as we know. But he said, you know, I've had a tough time on and off the pitch.
Right.
You know, so I think it's. I don't know what that is, and I don't wish to probe, of course. But
maybe he had a bad match off the pitch with his friends.
Could have done.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly. But it's great to see
Headers
him.
And volleys, went out first. did an overhead kick inside the 6-yard box.
Exactly,
not allowed.
But it's great to see him scoring for Chelsea like this ahead of the World Cup final next year, and I'll leave that there. But of course, we've got
it looked like he was thriving in the conditions, didn't he?
Yeah.
Wasn't it funny to see him do the cold Palmer celebration? Well, it looked like he was going to keel over from heat stroke.
Yeah. But the assist for
that is one of the symptoms of hypothermia, by the way.
Yes.
Is it, right? Yeah.
So you think you're really warm when you're really cold. Could
Right.
work the other way around. Maybe he was so hot he thought it was cold.
Yeah.
His assist for the third goal was delightful.
Yeah.
Joao Pedro.
Yeah.
What a start.
Yeah.
Pete Donaldson. What a start to his Chelsea career.
Yeah, getting clawed by the neck by Enrique at the end. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, that was odd, wasn't it?
That was very weird. So yeah, welcome to football.
Luis Enrique came out after the game saying about how it was unacceptable and how you can't believe this kind of stuff goes on. I was thinking, you did it.
Yeah.
you did it.
You've got a man's skin underneath your fingernails.
Yeah.
As always, I was trying to break it up.
Yeah,
and stop an incident from happening.
Which is bollocks. Maresca was the only one breaking it up. Maresca was, I'll take out the big man. He grabbed Donnarumma. Look, come on, just calm down, pacify him. Meanwhile, it was all still Luis Enrique was like, well, I better step up then.
Yeah. I was trying to use João Pedro's spinal column as a separator.
Yeah.
Like a cordon, if you will.
He said, he was a bit Mortal Kombat about the whole thing, wasn't he?
You look. I mean, you've got to make the calculation of your PSG there. You're used to winning. You've won pretty much everything. You've lost in the final.
Yes.
And you're French as a team.
Yes.
It makes you look like a bad loser. You need to get off with some dignity.
Yeah.
Innit?
Yeah. It's fair to say they didn't do that.
Maybe if you saw him in training, maybe he was just overheated because he was wearing too many clothes. Did you see him going around in training, sort of stripped to the waist with the little sort of Cristiano Ronaldo shorts?
Oh, right.
Still looks good.
Yeah. But
for sure.
Yeah. Before we talk about
the trophy presentation as well.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that. There was a sending off.
There was,
in this game.
I was all for it.
Mark
I agreed with it.
Mark Cucurella getting the hair pull.
I agreed with it.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was the back end of each half. It got a bit spicy, didn't it? It was just like, something has to give.
PSG, they just couldn't take the fact that they were being absolutely schooled, and I mean it was piss poor from them after the game. I'm sure Chelsea did their best at winding them up.
Nuno Mendes could have gone as well. For that tackle after that.
But João Neves, when he gets red carded, he thought there was a look in his eye of oh, thank goodness for that.
But I think
he was straight off the pitch, straight to the airport, presumably.
Almost guarantee that. But I do like the explaining the sending off. I do like the referee.
I like that too.
Yeah,
I like that they do it before the red because he sort of explains it's violent conduct and then the red comes out. There was in the women's Euros there was Kalato Varmza, the German footballer, got a red card for Stephen tailoring.
Yes,
absolute handball, and she was like hitting the floor.
Yeah, it was great.
I would very much like the referee to sort of go, idiot, red card.
Yeah. Mate of mine once got sent off in a Sunday league game, and the referee did a little explainer, which was quite nice. And he just went, "Last man, no option, red."
Group stage match didn't matter. Didn't need to handball it. See you later.
I love how much every other footballer in the world clearly hates Marc Cucurella.
Yeah.
Because I also dislike the man.
Why is that?
intensely.
Talk us through.
Don't like the cut of his jib.
Okay.
Just the
What?
energy.
What?
Just the energy he's got.
Yeah, but isn't that his job? He's kind of got to be a bit of a bitty fucker.
Who's living in your head, Red?
I challenge anyone to watch him standing on the table, singing his little Cucurella song to the Spain side,
Yeah.
and not think he's a bellend.
Right, okay.
And I think Neves put
That's not even in his top 10. Come on. I think the amazing thing about that João Neves sending off is, as Marcus said, like every big bit in this game, it was kind of telegraphed, because there was the bit before where he went down, you know he's going to do the triple roll before he does it, and as João Neves picks him up, it's like he's like caught a particularly large fish because he's not moving at all.
Yes,
He's just,
that's right.
You can
Sandbagging him.
When you try and pick him up, he's going to come up as a hole. He's going to curl himself up into a ball like a child having a tantrum, like saying, I'm going to make my back stiff and I'm not going to get out of my pram. And that's exactly what happens. And then he goes and does a sending off thing afterwards.
That's incredible.
I also really liked that time when Cucurella went, because there was an amazing time when Cucurella was debuting a new pair of boots and he kept falling over.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
But also there was a
Put him in the
time,
bin.
I think it was when Spain were playing France and Cucurella was down and he was being a complete bellend, and then Mbappe was really fed up of it and just booted the ball at him and it hit him in the head. And but it was like a football hit him in the head at like 10 miles an hour. And then Cucurella was halfway towards getting up and he felt the ball hit him in the head and threw himself on the floor. Like, he's such a dickhead.
I'm always surprised
Hope he
how
gets
young
head
he
lice.
is as well.
Hope he gets head lice.
You've got another 10 years
Of this,
of that
Yeah.
in that position.
Oh dear.
I wouldn't give him a medal for this.
No, but I mean, Chelsea, they've earned an estimated £91 million from this tournament.
There you go.
They're going to be a force. They're going to be a force.
They're going to be a force. Look, Vitesse, you're going to need a bigger boss.
Yeah, you are. That's going on the massive people carrier for Vitesse Arnhem. That.
Very true, very true.
Liam Delap's driving it.
Yeah, he'll be loaned out soon, won't he? Probably.
Yeah.
Actually, he did all right when he came on. He might have had a goal on another day, but Donnarumma remembered that he doesn't like English people scoring against him.
No.
After Cole Palmer. and
Which
Clive
another thing that will come back to haunt us in the World Cup. next
I
year,
was about
presumably.
to
Well, they've got to get there first. haven't they?
Yeah, both teams.
Andy, don't say that. That's now inevitable.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll be reminded of that when England and Italy are playing a friendly next summer. It's somewhere like Saudi Arabia outside the World Cup venue.
Oh, tails between our legs. Right, I think we're going to. So, the trophy presentation. Gianni Infantino was there with his white trainers on. I think him wearing those white trainers is worse than anything Donald Trump's ever done. Which I hated. I just
Yeah.
Anyway.
But you have to wear appropriate footwear for the pitch.
Pete, exactly, and I think we should push Marcus on this. It's very well, all very
Push
well.
Infantino, you'll find that they won't be appropriate.
Be a hater, all you like, but I'd love to know what footwear you thought would have been appropriate. Which a pair of black Oxfords, maybe.
Yes.
Because that pitch would be
Brogues.
well watered, wouldn't
Oxford's not Brogues.
Yeah, you can't wear those on a pitch like that, though.
I go for Derby. Is it Derbyshire's or Derbies? I should really know that. Either or, he should not have been wearing them. I can't believe the levels of prattiness that he went to on that.
They were almost certainly like Balenciagas and cost like $500.
Oh yeah, all that bollocks.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was there. He opened the trophy with his little key, which apparently only he can open.
It's so bad.
Donald,
Has he got a little retractable key?
Yeah.
Connected to his belt.
Donald, you've got a key that only you can use. Yes, so have I.
But I mean, after previous FIFA events, to have a trophy presentation that people are sitting there after Putin under the umbrella in 2018, when everyone else is getting drenched, after Messi in the Bisht in 2022, to have a FIFA trophy presentation where people are sitting there, fucking hell, this is a bit much, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know.
I mean,
basically, what Infantino's done with that key business is created a giant multi-million-dollar adult Polly Pocket.
Yes.
Yes.
Because Polly Pocket was
Yeah.
only you had the key and it was your secret little toy.
Yes,
and you
okay.
take your friend back to your bedroom and you could open it with a little key and that's it.
Why did you have a Polly
I was going
Pocket?
to say, how do you know?
Well,
all
I've
this?
got a sister, so I know how it works.
I mean, it is
That's basically what it is.
Out of all of the trophies in the world, it is the most likely to trap your finger in.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? There's the World Series
Imagine-
Commissioner's Trophy that's got a lot of flags. That's the only one that can damage you. But I think this one could really
Imagine if
get
he
your
got his
fingers in
finger
there.
caught in it and he couldn't hand it over.
Yeah, it was bleeding.
Maybe that's why Trump hung around. His finger was stuck in it.
it looks serious. I mean, there's a bit of Mad Max energy to the trophy itself. Isn't
Yes.
it?
Gyroscope, isn't it?
It is a bit like a gyroscope.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it's how Infantino sees the world. So you look into that trophy enough and you'll see the man's soul.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, of course, was involved and stayed on the stage.
Yeah.
John Terry-esque.
Yeah, it was.
He made
Just
John
stolen
Terry look
valour.
very weak and tiny, didn't he? In
Yeah.
the whole Chelsea story.
What annoyed me was that Donald Trump did an interview at half-time in the game and managed to sound like he knew more about football than Keir fucking Starmer. He's got an Arsenal season.
Yeah, when he was asked about who's the goat of football, I like the fact he went, well, which sport kind of thing. But then he went and his answer about Pele. Yeah, I enjoyed that when he was I thought to myself, oh, that is so annoying because I thought we were going to get him.
He's
on
just
that.
sublime with some great tablets and some great medicine in the past. I mean, remember when he was talking to the Juve side in the Oval Office,
and then went up for a run.
When he sort of asked about could a woman be part of your team? Maybe his second question was, could a Donald Trump be part of your team? And then that's what he ended up doing.
With his nappy and his catheter running around. He wouldn't better wear shorts.
Did he not have his lifts in that day? Because he looked very, very short compared to like Reece James and stuff. He's massive.
He is tall.
He is tall, but he just did not.
I know what you mean.
He looked absolutely tiny compared to everybody.
Maybe this whole time he's been wearing like stilts.
No, he's the second tallest president in history.
Yeah. He's definitely got lifts. He definitely wears lifts though, because it fell out when they tried to assassinate him.
He told me he was the tallest.
Yeah, he probably did. Yeah.
Although second tallest, to be fair. I just loved it though.
Son's an absolute monster.
He is, yeah. I want to sit behind him in the football, yeah.
He won't go to the football.
He famously likes football. He played football for his
so he
school
did.
and stuff.
So he
There's
did.
footage of him. He's not very good.
Yeah, okay. Because Reece James said, didn't he, post-match, he said we were told that he was going to be there and then he was going to exit the stage. And then Reece James turns to him and it looked like he said something along the lines of, are you leaving? What's going on here? And Trump was a bit like, I'm involved there. I'm involved.
It is quite literally the price of doing business, isn't it?
I'd love someone to have debagged him.
That'd have been good. But it was one of the most predictable things that as soon as he was on that stage, there was no way
You're getting him off.
No.
Getting him off.
A lot of newspapers went with Cole Palmer looked very confused. Just say Cole Palmer was there.
Yeah.
It was quite funny how
it was outrageous.
Robert Sanchez.
Even
Cole
Infantino
Palmer,
left the stage.
and was made to come back.
Yeah.
Which I wonder is a kind of metaphor, because as we were on the radio last night on TalkSport, had a lovely text, can we get the left wingers off the radio? None of the players asked him to leave. Okay, yeah, if you like.
Okay.
But Danny Kelly, my radio cohort, of course, asked me, it's funny, when you look at how FIFA takes over a country and FIFA has FIFA law that supersedes the law of a country during the World Cup.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen during next World Cup, is it?
But
Which is a really interesting
I think they
twist.
probably agree.
They'll be perfectly aligned.
Yes.
It won't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It won't matter, will it? That's
Well, will it? Because I think you look at that moment where, like, Infantino saying, even I think we should get off.
But that's the thing. I think that's one of the worst things.
Back you come.
One of the worst things about Infantino is it's difficult to talk about previous FIFA presidents for obvious reasons.
Blatter was kicking off last week, wasn't he?
What about the
Saudi Arabia thing?
Yes, this is the thing. Like with Blatter, completely flawed man. We enjoyed it when he was kicked out. Blah 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 blah. So this is not a defence of Blatter, but as I think Jim made the point, or certainly I did, that I think that there was a part of Blatter, there was a little part of him which was a football purist, in that he did want to grow the game and go at other places. Unfortunately, there was all the other crap as well. But I think, I'm not going to say he's a good football man. I think with Blatter, there was a little bit of something there. With Infantino, he is completely an AI-generated PR man.
Is it not different times, though? Like, the money wasn't in Saudi Arabia.
And I think that's a fair point.
There's a really good piece in The Athletic about whether, like, being in that role, that FIFA kind of exalted role away from the real world, if you like, has completely radicalised him. Yeah. Because no one had a real big opinion on Infantino before this happened. He was quite a kind of pen-pushing, quiet bloke.
But there for the taking, if
I
you
guess
see
so.
what I mean.
Yeah, I guess
and
a blank canvas to be exploited.
Yeah, and maybe comparisons with Blatter are completely futile and pointless and stupid. But with Infantino, I think that is the worst thing, is that he turns up to a country and actually, the FIFA, what it should be with the FIFA president, they should turn up to a country and go, if you want the World Cup, you have to make sure that everybody is welcome. You have to make sure this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But he doesn't do that. He basically turns up and is completely at the mercy, if you like, of whoever's there.
You can make an analogy, like, essentially, I always think that when you're reading a journalist or whatever, you read a journalist's work, the first question you should ask yourself, if it's about something reasonably important, is, does this journalist have more in common with their readership or with the people that are paying them, right? So I would argue that, and he's going to catch a stray here from me, and I apologise in advance, but I'm going to do it to illustrate a point.
But at least he's sat opposite
When
you.
I read, I don't read Andy's column. When I read Henry Winter, I think, who are you writing for? When I read Matthew Syed, who you writing for? Right? When you read a good journalist, it feels like they're writing for you, right? And with Gianni Infantino, you can make that same comparison, because what you can say is Gianni Infantino clearly sees Donald Trump and says, that's a bit of me. He doesn't see a football fan like you and I. He doesn't know about anything to do with us or our listeners. He doesn't care. He's probably had that zero contact with a football fan in any meaningful way for years and years and years. But instantly he sees a Donald Trump or a Saudi king or whatever and says, they're the people that I've got the most in common with.
Yes.
And that's not the right attitude or the right person to be running the global game. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah, well put. And like this whole Salt Bay bollocks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I did think to myself, at least Salt Bay's not here yesterday.
He might have been there, but he probably didn't have the AAA pass.
I reckon he was standing under the stage like Psy, waiting to fly up. and no one pushed the button.
Nobody pushed the button.
Hydraulics failed him.
He's still there now. Look at his watch.
Yeah, it comes to that, though.
Yeah.
At least Salt Bay wasn't there.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Did you say, because Gianni Infantino apologised after the Salt Bay thing, didn't he? Did you just say he's learned his lesson based on last night?
Must have done. Must have done.
Where was I sure speed? I didn't see him at all, really.
No, he wasn't there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Infantino does look like a man who will learn lessons.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a steaming success. The steam very much provided by the heat of the American summer, of course, which Infantino did say was an issue, but he said they will use more indoor air-conditioned venues at the World Cup next summer.
Just making it up. Making it up as he goes along.
Madison Square Garden. What are you doing?
They've got a few that can close their.
I'm sure.
Close their thing.
There's some five-a-side pitches in there. Can we play five-a-side? Do you know what I mean? It's just bollocks. It's just bollocks. It's all just a big shame, everybody. But there we are. Chelsea, great for them. They're flush with cash. Very flush, hot red cheeks after all that running around in the heat. And they are the world champions. And the Chelsea faithful will remind us of that every week in the Premier League.
As is their right, by the way.
As is their right.
As is their right,
As is their
Rub
right.
it in our face.
Robert Sanchez might have even saved his Chelsea career as well.
And that's the big takeaway, everybody. Right, coming up after this, Crystal Palace's worst fears are realised.
What am I scared of? Mouse. Mice and rats and mouse. Wait, they're all the same thing, really, aren't they? What?
Rodents, yeah.
Huh?
Rodents.
What's that?
That's what a mouse is, or a rat.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, them. Rodents.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Jack Grealish.
Mouse.
What am I afraid of? Mouse.
Mouse.
He makes it sound like it's one very specific mouse that haunts him in his home every night.
Yeah.
Mouse. It's that mouse.
Yeah, but then it's like mice, all of them. Every single one of them. And rodents too. Thanks to friend of the Ramble, Yuki Sonoda, for sending us that clip on Discord. You can become a friend of the Ramble too for just $5 a month. You'll get every episode of all of our football shows completely ad-free and access to the Football Ramble Discord, where you can chat with us and other Ramble listeners. Search patreon.com/Football Ramble to get involved. And Patreon subscribers get all episodes of Upfront ad-free, where you can keep up to date with all the action at the Women's Euros, as Chloe and Rachel are releasing episodes 3 days a week. And of course, the Lionesses got a huge win last night, 6-1 against Wales. They finished second in the group. They play Sweden in the next round on Thursday. Big win for the Lionesses, Luke Moore.
It was. Wales were obviously very happy to be there without being patronising to them, given the story that they've had. But at one point, England was walking the ball into the net. I mean, it was a great win for them. The concern was that they were going to get to the Wales game and it not be anything to play for because of how poor they were in the first game. But the second game, they bounced back in big style.
Yes.
So I'm excited for the Sweden game.
Yeah, people saying that the side of the draw England are on is a bit more preferable, but Sweden looking good.
Yeah, they've had a good start.
That's true. I mean, arguably, you would say before the tournament they would have preferred not to get Germany in the next round. So I guess the fact that France came back against the Netherlands and won the game that they were losing at half time, you might argue it worked out okay for them.
They won 5-2 in the end, didn't they? It was a mad game.
But your point about Germany, I do get, but after they, admittedly there was a sending off, but after they Sweden beat Germany 4-1, it's like, maybe we'd rather them.
Yeah.
But there we are. But it's holding up nicely at the Women's Euros. Now then, Crystal Palace have been demoted.
Well, it's
to the
bad
Conference
news.
League.
It's bad news, isn't it? But what we do get is one of my favourite tropes of the current Ramble, which is Andy having a massive tee off on John Textor. So let's sit back and enjoy it.
I'm all texted out.
What was he in his locker?
Before, I used to come on the Ramble
Andy,
to
get stuck
avoid
into his
talking
family.
about John
Get
Textor.
stuck into his family. Go on.
And now there's no escape, is there?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no escape.
We know what you think of him, but what do you think of his family? UEFA, of course, ruled on Friday that Crystal Palace have been demoted from the Europa League to the Conference League next season. They found Palace to have breached multi-club ownership rules due to the dual involvement of John Textor, Palace and Lyon, who take precedence because of a higher league table finish. And, of course, Lyon were relegated from Ligue 1. But and there are some theories about why that was overturned, but they have subsequently had that overturned, and they're back in Ligue 1. So therefore, they're going to be in the Europa League and blah 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 blah. So it's a sickener for Palace because this has gone on for a bit now. UEFA were looking into John Textor's alleged multi-club ownership, and Palace was saying no, he doesn't have a say here, despite his 43% stake or the company that he's involved with. And he was saying, no, they don't even let me choose the tea bags there. They've decided, UEFA, that they believe that he does have a sort of a big say in operations at Crystal Palace, despite him then selling his shares. But of course, that was after the 1st of March deadline, and they have been demoted. And Nottingham Forest have been promoted, if you like, to the Europa League. Now, Forest, there was chat of their multi-club ownership if they'd have got into the Champions League.
Yeah, but Marinakis, for all his faults, got his admin right.
Well, he eventually did. It was past the deadline, but he put his shares into a blind trust, which apparently he didn't want to do. But if Forest were to qualify for the Champions League, which of course they didn't, he thought, I can see what's happening. I need to do something, even though it was past the deadline. I need to do something which really does demonstrate that I'm trying to keep that wolf from the door, which I think he would have done had that issue arisen, which it didn't. So, what do you think of his family, Andy? No,
I think the biggest mistake people are making here is they want to either blame UEFA or they want to blame John Textor or they want to blame Lyon. I think we can say it's everyone's played really quite badly here.
Yeah, totally. What it does is it shows, it lays bare really the very idea that UEFA have, for some reason, let this multi-club ownership thing happen, not really planned for what the ramifications could be, and then just essentially accepted the most unbelievable fudge to get around it, when in actual fact what they should have done is really governed the game properly.
Yeah, I mean, this is
this to happen.
This is football in a nutshell, though, isn't it? Reactive rather than proactive.
Yeah, totally.
In terms of authorities, and I guess the thing is with this, the reason that the rules have changed a little bit is because it used to be that you couldn't have two clubs from the same ownership group in any UEFA competitions. So, for example, demoting Palace to the Conference League wouldn't have been possible under the old rules. They just would have been hoyed out.
Yeah.
Because, of course, there was movement between the competitions when you get to Christmas. So that's why it couldn't happen. But to me, the most extraordinary thing from this is the fact that UEFA sent round an email reminder reminding people of the change in rules and being very clear on multi-club ownership. So if we're talking the letter of the law, they can do this to Crystal Palace and obviously have done this to Crystal Palace. But they sent it to the wrong email address loads of times. Right. And there was no follow-up. They sent it to, I think it was info@cpfc.co.uk.
That's you need a more specific email address than that, surely.
You need at least a phone call, I feel.
Lordy.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Just a 5-minute call. By the way,
under the old rules, Textor is right. There was nothing in the old rules about the actual percentage. So the fact that he was the highest, or Eagle Football was the highest shareholder of Crystal Palace, didn't make any difference. It was about decisive influence, but it is no longer like that, because it's clear that he had no decisive influence, but that is no longer the rule.
So what? I mean, people are, Steve Parish, chairman of Palace, obviously feels very hard done by.
Yeah, but you're the fucking chairman, Steve. Steve, you're involved.
You could have seen this coming.
Yeah.
Well, but
the way you ended last season was very good.
And a lot of people have said that this is an unjust. People are very unhappy about this.
That's why Doja Cat was wearing a Palace shirt.
Is that right?
Well, certainly the colours of Palace.
Solidarity.
She was, wasn't she? I noticed that. Yeah.
Very precarious position on top of the
There's
stadium.
actually
Didn't care for it.
Speaking of protests and stuff, there's Crystal Palace fans have organised a protest.
Yes, they're going to do a march, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
Well, Telegraph journalist Sam Wallace said demotion is so unjust. Nottingham Forest should refuse to take Palace's spot in the Europa League.
Has he had a blow to the head?
Mr. Wallace, Forest were very much campaigning.
Yeah,
for this
exactly.
to happen, so,
Have you seen?
Good, exactly what I wanted. We don't want it.
Yeah. Well, something's happened that we've Machiavellian been trying to undermine for the last 3 months.
Yes.
Should we just turn it down?
Yeah.
Fucking, what's he talking about?
Yeah, we don't actually want your minerals. But anyway, but how do you see this?
Well,
do you feel? I mean, there's obviously you feel for Palace fans, obviously, because they've not done anything, and the fact is, on merit, they're in the Europa League, but because of all these rules and so on, they're not going to be.
You're always on very, very difficult ground as a sporting, endeavour. If something you achieve in doing the sport is then taken away from you for some other kind of complicated admin reason, it never looks good. It never plays well. There's room for mad conspiracies and all the rest of it, as Andy's kind of alluded to, because a lot of the comments I've seen on news outlets reporting this on social media is like, well, how come Man City can do this and how come that team can do that? And it's like you're always comparing apples and oranges, that type of stuff. But on the kind of potential poor admin from UEFA, Andy, that you touched on, I wonder whether that gives them a little bit of latitude in their appeal with CAS.
Yeah,
where they can say,
I wonder that.
Because what CAS should do, and they've got to work very quickly, because lest we forget, some of these UEFA competitions have already started. Right. So I think CAS have got a rule on it by the 14th of August, I think it is. So it's not long amount of time for it to happen. If they can find any way whatsoever that UEFA haven't behaved or performed their role with the utmost of integrity and due diligence, then maybe there's some room there. But I just think it's totally beyond the pale from the fans' point of view, and actually in this case from the players' point of view, to not be able to compete in a competition they've qualified for by right because of this kind of shit.
Exactly. The idea that it's Lyon stealing Palace's Europa League
it's bullshit.
It's nonsense. They've both qualified to be in the competition and they should both be in it. And
so you think, despite all the rules and everything, that Palace should be there?
Yeah, I do. And I think...
Do you think that's because that you're essentially believing what Textor and Palace are saying, that that UEFA should have... they should have persuaded UEFA enough.
No, I think we can say both that Textor should have done better and UEFA should have done better.
Right,
and that is absolutely clear. I mean, it is typical of the way Textor run things. He's just no attention to detail whatsoever. So for him to go afterwards, oh yeah, I just didn't know, it was a bit late, is incredibly disingenuous for him to come out and say that, particularly in the light of a possible appeal. But I think the fact that UEFA were clearly waiting for Lyon to be relegated to Ligue 2 and that to be confirmed, just to take the decision out of their hands. Yeah. Right. I think that's the most damning thing in terms of their position ahead of a potential appeal. And that is the thing that makes me think that Palace could be given leeway and should be allowed back into... Well, they should be allowed back into the Europa League, but could be allowed back into the Europa League.
And the problem is there's absolutely no leadership at the top of the game as usual, right? So it's not beyond the wit of UEFA, if they really wanted to stop this at source anyway, to say that, if you want to be... Because let's be fair, the reason that American investors are investing in, for example, Premier League clubs is because they think those clubs and those institutions and their global appeal are tremendously undervalued when it comes to comparing them with buying American sports franchises, right? American sports franchises go for huge amounts of money and they don't really have the global appeal that the Premier League has, right? So that's why you've seen an influx of American investors. UEFA seem to be perfectly content for this to happen as it pertains to multi-club ownership and UEFA competitions, and the Premier League have got their own questions to answer, but that's a separate conversation. And it's not beyond the wit of UEFA to nip this in the bud at source, because you can easily do the calculations and say, well, this person or this holding company or whatever owns that club, that club, that club. Two of them have got a chance of being in Europe. So we need to work out what we're going to do here. They haven't done that, as Andy's kind of alluded to. They're doing it after the horse has bolted.
They're doing it like after the new competition has started as well, because the qualifiers started last week.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. The competition's already taken place. And it's particularly galling for Crystal Palace in this individual case, because, of course, this is the first time they've ever qualified for European competition. Yeah. And now they're having to do probably a lower ranked European competition rather than the one they've qualified for through no fault of their own. So it's a great example of how complicated football has become because the people at the top of the game haven't shown the leadership to stop it happening. And the perhaps consolation prize in all of this is that I actually think Crystal Palace have got a pretty good chance of winning the Conference League. And if they do that, then, that could be a story with a nice ending, but it should never happen in the first place. I mean, it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace that football has tied itself up in such knots that this could happen. And it's another example, actually, as well, of where you'd like to see fans of other clubs, kind of in a way of along the lines of what Sam Wallace is saying, but maybe in a slightly more realistic way. So we need fans to show solidarity on this stuff because it could happen to them.
Yeah. I can see, as a few people are saying, a Palace-Forest rivalry developing from this.
Could do, couldn't it?
They like their weird rivalries, though, don't they? So,
well, there's another one coming, I think. All right, coming up after this, a Qatari consortium and Andy Carroll head for the National League South. Right then, it was reported yesterday that Arsenal are now in the process of completing the deal for Sporting striker Viktor Gyokeres. Gyokeres refused to turn up for pre-season because he's a professional. And club president Federico...
He was protesting multi-club ownership.
He was.
Good man.
Good for him.
Man. Club president Federico Veranda said he'd be fined heavily and forced to apologise to his teammates.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can lead a man to his teammates, Andy, but you can't make him
What
apologise.
he actually said is this situation is easily fixable by the payment of a large fine and a large apology.
And I want that apology. Listen, I know you're in the departure lounge, but I want that apology.
Yeah. Is that why the agent isn't getting his cut? He's chinning off 10% apparently.
Is that right?
Gyokeres' agent.
What?
To make the deal happen.
Yes.
Why would he be doing
exciting.
that?
I don't know.
So Sporting get more money. So Sporting get more money, and so Arsenal have to pay less. Basically, they're doing what happens in a lot of transfers. The agent / player will sacrifice a bit to grease the wheels. And of course, he's getting such a massive pay rise at Arsenal. It's fine, really.
Absolutely fine.
It's an exciting signing to see him in the Premier League.
A striker at Arsenal?
See what he's
made like E.T. turning up. What's this? Is he going to Darwin Núñez it?
Yeah.
We were all good before we entered the Premier League, aren't we?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But you do fancy him to do very well. Obviously, a lot of people do, Andy, but I don't care about them. I care about you and your thoughts.
I think he'll be
Andy,
great.
I care about you too, by the way. Just want you to know that.
Peter, say it.
I think you're equally good as a battering ram striker.
Look, I think he'll be great. I've said for a while, I think he's the striker that Arsenal needed because he's very different to anything they already have. His all-round games, which was already good from when he was in the Champo with Coventry, has improved stratospherically in the last year and a half.
He's oven ready.
Particularly. I think so. I think so.
Peter, what about your Newcastle United boys? Signed Anthony Elanga, of course, for Nottingham Forest. The club are also interested in Hugo Ekitike, who has an £86 million release clause. But if Mohamed Kudus to Spurs is anything to go by, sometimes you can pay quite a bit less than those release clauses. Is that what they're going to do? Geese him?
Well, if you actually want him, you have to kind of approach it, I would say.
But what do you think about Newcastle's business, though?
It's been slow. It's been quite hard to get people off the line. Elanga was obviously been happening for a very, very long time. And
it's a huge one, though, Elanga.
It's huge, but they've historically always wanted somebody out wide to feather the nest a little bit. But I mean, huge Champions League season ahead of them, and they're finding hard to find suitors for Longstaff and stuff. So it's going to be a long old season if they don't put the money down now.
A typical pessimistic response from Peter.
Well,
do you feel
realistic?
Last time I talked about Elanga on the show,
realistic.
you weren't on the show,
right?
And I wanted to know if you have shed a tear for best season of his career, Jacob Murphy, being rewarded with a big signing coming in his position.
I think
a lot of competition.
Yeah, but I mean, who's to say Elanga's definitely going to be starting behind?
Well, Murphy won't. He'll do his damnedest.
Do you reckon that's what Eddie Howe said
to
to him?
Yeah, you can
come play for me,
Yeah.
right? I know you're having a great time at Forest, and you've just been bumped to the Europa League. But would you like to sit on the bench behind and watch Jacob Murphy do his stuff?
Correct.
Yeah. You're at Champions League.
Where do I sign, Gaffer?
I would prefer him to phrase it as Pete did. You're at Champions League club now, but who's to say you're going to start? Well, you are. Callum Wilson's left the club.
He has,
That's why you're sad, isn't it? A beautiful man.
It's
looks
got
great.
yeah,
in the kit.
it's got a lot less handsome that side, I suppose now. But
Still got Fabian Schär.
I think a lot of people have made the point that it's good because he won't damage his legacy. I think at Newcastle, it was a good time to leave.
And his knees,
and he just needs
leaves
rest.
any further. So they're a striker short now, right?
They are, yeah. But I mean, Callum Wilson's a bit of a ghost of what it used to be. And I agree with what Andy said. It would have been nice to have seen what Osler could have offered back into this last season, because he's a real rough diamond. I think he's got everything going for him.
So maybe we'll see a bit more this season.
Hopefully,
They're confident on him, aren't they?
Well, they have to.
They think they can make him into something.
Because if obviously Isak's the starter, but Isak and Osler are the only strikers.
He's mad. Like, he's absolutely mad. So he's great Ramble material.
Well, currently, at the time of recording, it is 2 more striker options than Arsenal have got. So think about it. But yes, no, I think to sign. Well, I mean, Hugo Ekitike, where would he play, Andy, if he was to join?
It's difficult to imagine him playing in a 2.
Yes,
but actually, if we go back to Gyokeres, before he was like locked on for Arsenal, there was this slight suggestion that maybe Gyokeres and Isak could reprise their national partnership with club at Newcastle. That would have been really interesting, and I think it really shows how good both of them are. That normally a striker just plays on his own nowadays with a bit of help from wide players, but they can play in a 2 for the national team, and that is not an easy switch to make. And they both look brilliant, albeit in Nations League C. And having said that,
do you have any trepidation re Ekitike coming to the Premier League, given that he's only I know he's not really young, isn't he? He's only really had one good goal scoring season behind him. Have we seen enough of him to know he can do it in the Premier League?
I think so. Okay. And every situation you see him in against Premier League opposition, he looks like he's absolutely made for it. I'm thinking this is a gradual succession. If they're going to sign him, it's a gradual succession they're never going to pay that amount of money for him. Right. If that is the money, and obviously Eintracht Frankfurt are very, very good sellers, and they've proved so in recent years, like Newcastle are not going to buy at that price. No. And I can't see how they're going to come down for that much. So it doesn't really feel to me like it's a deal that's imminent. It feels like an interest that's not particularly gone away, rather than something that's going to happen right now. I wonder if Newcastle have got other priorities, particularly at that sort of money. But Ekitike would really work in the Premier League. I don't think there's any doubt about that for me.
But with Isak at top, would there be room for him in that starting 11? I mean, you think he would play out wide or in behind?
Well, I guess the mistake we're making with both that and Elanga versus Murphy, like if everything goes all right for Newcastle next season,
all on the pitch.
They're playing 55 games. You can't have Isak playing all of those, and he won't play all of those. You can't have Murphy playing all of those.
And every player up top in Newcastle has a price. They've been Gordon probably would have gone if the money was behind it.
At the moment, there is no way Isak is getting sold, because the market, the money's not really out there. The market for strikers is really, really slow. If we take Saudi Arabia out of the picture, you look at how long it has taken to piece together this Gyokeres deal. You look at the fact that Osimhen has not managed to drum up any significant interest in the Premier League. If you'd have painted that situation even a year and a half ago, that would have seemed mad. But that's the way things are at the moment. Now, it might not be that way in a year's time. We'll have to see. I'm sure Isak will go somewhere at some point. I don't imagine him staying at Newcastle for life. But if the market's like it is, maybe he stays at Newcastle a lot longer than anyone expected.
They're currently training in the Swiss Alps, so I mean, just enjoy it.
Nice.
Just
sounds lovely.
Everybody.
Sounds lovely.
Crying out loud. Well, I want to talk about a former Newcastle United striker, Andy Carroll. He signed for Dagenham and Redbridge in the National League South. The club also announced this weekend that they've been taken over by a Qatari consortium. Carroll reportedly has a minority stake.
So what you're telling me is he's an even sexier version of Cesc Fabregas.
I am.
Yeah.
It
feels like it's gone where the money is, but in a really underwhelming way. It's really weird.
So I'm going to repeat that. Andy Carroll signed for Dagenham Redbridge in National League South. Okay, but the club has been taken over by a Qatari consortium, and Carroll has a minority stake, reportedly. Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Andy Carroll's having a really kind of interesting end to his career.
I'm all for that. The Qatari consortium, I'm just a bit like, what's going on here?
Minority stake, Salt Bay. That's where he plied his trade out there, didn't he?
I have not. I mean, listen. I'll be honest with you. I have absolutely no idea who this Qatari consortium are.
It seems a bit odd.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're looking, presumably investors are looking for undervalued clubs that they can get a lot of potential with, and they can build up to be something else.
Mm-hmm. And they're effectively a London club, aren't they? So
from his perspective, it's near his house, which is a big deal for him.
Oh, a lovely old job.
Well, he left France because he didn't see his kids enough, didn't he?
Yeah. Although he did enjoy having a pint and watching Newcastle on the telly without getting hassled.
That's the kind of thing I say when my son's doing 4 days in nursery in a row. I don't think I see him enough.
Yeah, we were talking about things that you couldn't imagine happening a year and a half ago. And just to me, the headline is, beyond the Qatari takeover and all the rest of it, Andy Carroll has left Bordeaux for Dagenham and Redbridge and got quite a big pay rise.
I was about to say, it's been reported that he's getting a decent whack of money.
Talking of multi-club ownership, bringing the game to its knees.
Yeah, I know. And he has, because he said, it doesn't matter the level of football, as long as I'm on the pitch and play, that's all that matters. I'm playing for the love of football rather than the money.
Love it.
Okay.
Well, I thought you could say it doesn't matter what level of football, as long as you stick the crosses in.
Yeah, I'll get on the end of them.
Well, good luck to Andy.
He's getting paid £500 per flick on.
That's it.
I cannot wait for my children to do him on Luke's game in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
It's going to be extraordinary, isn't it?
It will be extraordinary. It will be extraordinary, Andy.